Today we're going to be walking through the build a database with Cursor with the Supabase MCP. I'm going to be walking through the low-touch version, and Natasha's going to be walking through the high-touch version. Awesome. Okay, let's get started. So, difficulty here is easy. Should take about an hour and a half. It's free because we're using the Cursor free trial. And related projects, so we've got the two other parts to the AI Workspace Series. This is the third and final installment. And the key concepts that we're going over here is Cursor, Supabase, and Model Context Protocols, so MCPs. A quick 30-second summary of this. So we'll be taking our pre-existing NextSound Spotify clone and adding a likes feature, and then fleshing that out by adding a database to that likes feature. So we'll use Cursor here and the Supabase MCP. So instead of actually writing into the Supabase database manually on the console online, you'll be using the Model Context Protocol to do that for you. So you're just going to be instructing Cursor's AI agent chat to carry things out, and it will go and do that. So why would you want to do this project? It showcases Model Context Protocol. So it's a super revolutionary way to connect AI agents like Cursor directly to things like GitHub, Supabase. Obviously, there's plenty more. The sort of common two groups here are like natively supported ones like Supabase and GitHub, and then there's also, you can go and set up ones for instance, Word, Microsoft Word, or Google Docs, or any sort, which are like not natively supported, so you're running those, and we'll be touching on that in the next series. But in this walkthrough, we're going to be going through using a natively supported MCP server by Supabase, which is really well documented as well, which is great. So if you're new to MCPs and databases, this project requires no previous experience. It's a really good place to start, I believe. And you can totally start here in this project in the AI Workspace Series, or you can start part 1 or part 2, which is Cursor and Claude Code setups and usage to get the app to where it is at the moment. Yeah, and you can also ask our ask feature here if you want to figure out if this project is right for you. So we'll be going through in the some guidance track, and Natasha's walking through at the moment on live in the step-by-step guidance track. Cool, so this is the walkthrough video we're doing now. So before we start step 1, we're working with NextSound and Music Discovery web app. We'll build a likes feature using Cursor and the Supabase MCP to set up the database end. So this feature is will appear as for us as a heart button on the latest hits tracks, and a cloud-hosted database storing like counts, and the MCP connection to query and update data with natural language. So if you wanted to go and ask like how many upvotes a track has, or to upvote a track to a certain number, or to unupvote a track, or to search by the most upvoted tracks, or whatever, you could do that through Cursor's chat window, which is super useful. What is MCP, or Model Context Protocol? It's a universal translator between AI agents and external tools. In this project, we're using the Supabase MCP, which lets Cursor interact with your database using natural language. So, yeah, effectively the problem that an MCP is solving is the interface between what an LLM has and can do compared to what a human can do. So most of these things, like Supabase, have been set up for a human to go and configure something. So whether that's a database schema or really anything on AWS, they're all set up so you can go and create an S3 bucket, or you can create a schema that supports what we're doing now, for instance, so a like feature on app. But what this allows you to do, that's through like APIs, application interfaces, and an MCP is like an MCP server, which is what we're interfacing with the Supabase setup, is something that we can go and, well, that we can instruct the LLM to talk to, and it will create calls off of that to go and carry out those actions on behalf of us on our Supabase instance. So it's effectively a, as it's stated here, universal translator, so that whatever LLM we're using, in this case Cursor's chat, can directly interface with another application. Yeah, and there's a secret mission, which I think is awesome, on setting up like complete authentication on the app, which you can do really quickly with Supabase's MCP. So you'll be able to log in, or sign up, log in, and then like tracks, and that'll be all tied to your own personal account. So costs here, there's no cost to set this up. Supabase's free tier is super generous. It's great for even like smaller companies have found themselves just on free tier for a long time. They're super generous with that, and there's no payment for Cursor either. Cool. So what are we doing in this project? In this project, I'm going to set up an MCP config on or in Cursor to talk to Supabase. NextSound is a music discovery web app, and I'm doing this project to learn how to set up and use MCPs. Music discovery, a music playing web app. Cool. We'll come back to this quiz at the end. So setting up your development environment, let's set up our coding environment. We'll clone NextSound and install Supabase MCP server and authorize that inside of Cursor. So what are we doing in this step? In this step, I'm going to set up my project by cloning the NextSound repo. Thank you, Maximus. Cloning the NextSound repo, installing the Supabase MCP, in Cursor, and authorizing Supabase a connection to Cursor. Cool. Sweet. So I'll just split my screen now into Cursor and the NextWork project here. So on the right hand side we've got Cursor, and on the left hand side we've got the project. So first we're going to open the IDE. That's I just did that, and cloning the repository. So I'm going to click clone repo, copy the link, and paste it in there. So I'll choose my desktop here. You can see it's cloning, and once it's finished cloning, which should be a pretty short period of time, you can see it's going across there. We can open it. Awesome. So we've got NextSound open in this repository. And if you run into any problems with not having an IDE or an issue with Git, you can follow one of these links or use the ask feature again. So what we're going to do now is switch to a different branch, because what we've developed is, so the Supabase code that we've set up has the Supabase stuff we're going to set up has a bit of back-end code that me and Natasha have set up to make this experience a little more flow a little better, so you don't have to go write any code to get this up and running. So we've got that on a different branch, which is called feature/like, and the notation there, feature/like, is really common for if you're implementing a feature, or you have a different feature in a different branch. So that's what we're going to do. So we're going to open a terminal. We're going to fetch all branches. It'll take a few seconds. And then we're going to check out to the feature/like branch. So we can see there our code changed. And if we're interested to why, or to how we can tell if that change has actually happened, we can, so on Windows, Control P, on Mac, Command P, we can search for these Supabase files. So you can see there in the database, or sorry, in the code base here, some of the stuff that has been written to make this experience as seamless as possible. Cool. Okay. So we can now open cursor settings. We can navigate to MCPs, and we can see here there's no installed servers. So we can use this deep link, which is effectively allows a link to interface with an application on your computer, and that's going to help us install it. So it's going to prompt us to open cursor. Take a second, and then just make it a little bigger. So we can see here that we've been prompted to install the MCP server for Supabase, so we're just going to click install. And then it's going to tell us immediately we need to authenticate this. And so we're going to click connect. And we get a pop-up here to open to the Supabase website. So as you saw, cursor asks for permission. It's just preventing any sort of like unwanted API calls between what you're doing on cursor and the outside world, so in this case Supabase. But obviously it's fine. Supabase is a very well-known company. So what do we do here? Or what do we see here? More like, I see a login page, I see an authentication page. So if we look over here, this is an authentication page. If you don't have an account, it's more than likely you're going to see a login page, and you'll have to either go through there and sign up, or log in with your existing account that isn't logged in at the moment. So I'm going to click I see an authentication page. So the first thing we see is to create a new organization for this project. And we're going to do that in the organizations tab in the dashboard. So I'll just create a new organization, and we're going to call it, I've already got one called this, so I'll just call it 2. And we're going to select free here, so there's no no plan required for this at all. There's no, we have to fill any, put any payment information in. Click create organization. And so we're going to get prompted to create a project. We don't need to create one yet. We can click cancel at the bottom of the form. Cool. I think that worked fine. Just a warning for creating a lot of organizations on the same free tier. I don't think that should be an issue, but we might need to go and remove an old one. Cool. So we saw that no project message, and now we can switch back to the authorized access tab. So here we can refresh the page, and we should see, in theory, that web app 2 here. So now we can click authorize and open cursor and open inside of cursor, and we should see the tools load in here. We can now close this authorization page. So we can see we've got 29 tools enabled. So that's the number of, if you recall earlier, I was talking about like queries it can make outside of from the server to Supabase's like console effectively. That's how many different things it can do. So we can click here and also look at the number of things. So you can do all sorts of stuff, practically anything from this, which is super useful. Cool, so we'll just take a screenshot of this and then add that to the next work project. So what do MCPs do? MCP stands for Model Context Protocol. And it helps AI agents interact with external applications without. Cool. So that worked. If you're asked to approve a tool, you can just click that. I've already, like, my Supabase account is already linked with approving that, so that's why it didn't pop up, but that's all good. How have we used MCP so far? I connected Cursor to the Supabase MCP. I verified this connection by asking the Cursor chat what organization I am using, or it's called, what my organization is called. The MCP lets Cursor interact with Supabase from tool calls. For example, I can now, just looking at this list here, I could now use get project to get the project information. Cool. So with Cursor and Supabase connected, let's create a database project and connect NextSound to it using natural language prompts. So if you recall at the start, we click cancel right at the beginning around creating a NextWire project in Supabase, and we did that really to try to demonstrate, because you definitely can create it through Supabase, but creating it through here is really, stretching its legs, and you can see how powerful it actually is. So what are we doing in this step? We're going to prompt Cursor to create a Supabase project. Have Cursor fetch database credentials and create a .env file. We'll explain what that is when we get to it. Cool, so we can send Cursor this prompt, and this is going to create a project with specifics tied to what we're trying to achieve. And it's going to return to us information that we can then put into an environment file and really go and start doing this, linking this up to the project that this we're at. that's interesting. It's just pointed out that I've reached the project limit, so I will just go and clear the other one, and then I will resume. Cool, so I'm just going to go and clear this chat and then send the same prompt and check if that's still an issue. Cool, so we can, well, wait for this to go and create the thing here. We can send this prompt again. We can discuss what .env files are. So in this case, a .env file is stuff that we hold environment variables in, so that's stuff that ties directly to Supabase. And that's like how we link effectively what's been set up. Needs a little more encouragement, it would appear. Yeah, so that's the .env file we're going to create, which Cursor can't create. Here we go. More encouragement got us there. So we're going to go and right-click into the File Explorer, type .env, and then paste in these environment variables that that have been created for us. Awesome. Okay, we'll close that, save that, and close that. There'll be some tool calls which get put alongside here. You can see get cost and list organization and confirm cost, creating project, calling get anon key and project URL. They'll all need to be clicked as accepted to run, and that's a whole like tool permission thing we were coming back to before. So to set up my database, Cursor used a set of tool calls to establish costs, creating, which were $0 in this case, creating the project, and yeah, creating the project. For example, Cursor called get project URL to fetch the specified environment variable. Awesome. Cool. So we can put that into the environment variable, into the .in file as environment variables. Save that. And then what is a .inf and why is it important? So a .inf file stores sensitive information like a Supabase anon key. For NextSound, it contains, we can have a little look. Contains a Supabase URL, a project URL, and this is important because it allows us to connect to Supabase or connect our web app to Supabase. Very good. Good morning from India. Good morning. It is 2:50 p.m. in New Zealand at the moment. Cool. So now we're just going to get on to actually building the likes feature with Cursor. So there's a few prerequisites here. So checking if Node.js is installed is a prerequisite. So having Node.js installed to run the web app. And in the step, we're going to prompt Cursor to build the likes feature, check if Node.js is installed, and then actually run the application. So in this step, I'm going to prompt Cursor to build the new feature, check if Node.js is installed, and run my web app. So we're going to prompt Cursor to build the new feature. So open the chat. We can type in the following prompt. So the prompt specifies that we've got this environment variable or environment file.in set up, and then we want to add the ability to like a track in the latest hits section, and it specifies what information we want to store in the database. And so what Cursor is going to go and do is going to use the MCP to effectively work with Supabase through that server and communicate what it wants the database schema and any rules that are required to look like. And it's going to make some minor changes to the code around this new visual element, and it's going to utilize the fact that we've already set up all the Supabase code in this branch. So cool, we can fill this out here. The feature I'm building is a like feature for the latest hits section of the web app. So instead of manually writing and setting up a database, I'm prompting Cursor to set up the database for me. Super cool. So we can see that Cursor's gone through and completed setting this up and appears to have made the right calls. We can also check Supabase just to be sure. Supabase console or dashboard. So what we'll do now is we will, so it used things like tool calls like apply migration and execute SQL. So it's going to set all the songs to 0 likes because no one's liked them yet. And we're going to click run and approve on each action. So apply migration is a tool that lets cursor modify database structure without or by executing SQL scripts. So cursor's plan for implementing the feature is to first use apply migration to execute the SQL scripts. Well, it's really to is to use execute SQL, then apply SQL scripts. Cursor tools are tools like cursor used tools like so we can look at the tool call list here. Get project, list and list tables to help me set up the required tables. Cool. So we can see here it's confirmed that all the stuff is set up with Supabase in the database, which is really good. So now, before we actually run the web app, we're going to check that Node.js is installed. So we're going to run node -- version in the terminal, and we're going to see that I have it set up. So we have a version number here, but if you don't, totally just follow this route, and we walk through setting it up. Well, just here. If you want further walkthrough for that, totally check out the high touch step-by-step walkthrough that Natasha's going through now. Thank you, Amber. So once we've done that, we've confirmed that this is set up. We're going to run npm install, which installs all the packages and dependencies for this web application, and it's going to be referring to a file called package.json, and it's going to go and get them and then install them. It's a super common thing. Like, it pretty much all works. All modern web applications work like this. Cool. So we can now run npm run dev, and we can see the application is now actually running. So we can control click this to open the NextSound web app. Should take a few seconds to load. We can see this is matching up quite nicely. Let's take a few seconds to load. Cool. We can see the like feature is just there. So that's really cool. You can go and like tracks, and this is all synced up to the Supabase database. Cool. Final step, interacting with the database using natural language. So in this step, the likes feature, we're going to test that. I'm going to query the database with natural language and update the database records with natural language. So what are we doing in this step? testing the like feature and verifying that it worked with the checking the Supabase database. Sending love. Thank you very much, Amber. In this final step, I'm going to be testing the like feature. Querying the database with natural language and updating or querying and updating the database with natural language. And natural language is just like us telling Cursor to go do something, right? It's not writing any SQL or anything on Supabase. Cool, so let's jump into testing the application. So we can scroll to the latest hit section here, and we can go on, like I've done, liked a few songs, and we can see them be filled in as liked, which is really cool. And we can tick working here, but if you're having troubles with it not working or not counting or anything there, totally you can use the ask feature, which is super useful. I definitely recommend it. Or contact the community. So yeah, we're going to go for this, and yeah, we can keep going. So upload a screenshot of the NextSound app with heart icons. So I'll just take a screenshot of this here. What happens when you click on the heart icon? When I click on the heart icon, I could see the heart get filled in. Informing me that I have liked this song. Behind the scenes, the database is the database is being updated to account for this change in the front end. So let's go actually verify this has worked. So we can navigate to the dashboard of the organization we've just set up for this. So we can go here. I've got multiple orgs, but we're going to work in this one. This is one we created at the start. You can go into this, and we can go to the table editor. So we go on the left-hand side to table editor, and we can see track likes the table here. Currently empty. Maybe we can give it a refresh, see if it has actually worked. And if it hasn't, we can totally troubleshoot as well. Okay, there you go. So it hasn't actually worked. So we might we're supposed to be seeing this sort of like an updated upvote count here, so we can query Cursor to see if we can get it to we can figure out what's actually happening there. I might check also, go into press F12 or go into this mode so we can have a little look, see if there's something obvious, which is cool. Okay, we can send this to Cursor. I'm not seeing any update on the Supabase database table when I like a song. And the front end logs. So this is a really great example, actually, of what's going to be, well, why this is so useful, because it's able to query Supabase, as well as look into your code base and figure out what could be going wrong in this situation. So it's claimed to fix it, so we can Control C to close the web app, and then run npm run dev again to reopen it, and then we can take a look to see if this has actually fixed it. Okay, another slight error here, so we can send that to cursor and get another error. So you can see there it's listed, it's called a Supabase MCP function or tool call, and it's actually checking what could be wrong on Supabase's side, as Supabase is responding to the API call we're making to like a track, and it's saying like, hey, this isn't working, this is not as expected. You can see some successful calls here, so that's good. We can see if that's. Oh, we should probably restart the web app actually. So it's had a look. This is sort of the beautiful part about model context protocols, is you can ask like cursor to do something, and it's gone and checked off what Supabase is doing. Cool. Okay. I mean, there's no error. We can have a little look in the database, see if there's any response. It's just refreshing. Cool. So we can see the track. It's been liked here. Or not. I don't know why one of them worked. Interesting. Okay, there you go. You can see some stuff start to come through now. I think it's a bit peculiar how this is maybe we ask you confirm what the it seems to be working. I think there might just be a strange Supabase response there, but you can see the light count is toggled here for the different track ID. You've got created at, updated at, and then the user ID, or the UUID, which is not tied to an account yet, but in the secret mission, sorry, not super mission. Secret mission will be going into that. We can see here the light count in the corner of these songs, which is really cool. Cool. So how does Supabase database store your information, or the likes that you're giving to a song? So the track table stores the number of likes for a specific track. Each row represents a different liked track. And you can see here as well that only the tracks that have been liked are logged. So there's you would have to like a track to log it. You could also definitely just set all tracks to 0 if you wanted to see all of them in the database, but they don't show up because they haven't been liked yet. I verified that the web app's connection with my database worked by looking into the table called track likes, into the track likes table, and confirming that the number of likes each song, each track got lined up with the number of likes present on the web application. One limitation I noticed is, after this project I would like to be able to improve my database by. One limitation is the fact that the number of likes is not tied to any user-specific account. After this project, I would like to improve my database by adding more tables. So that could be, you could set some stuff up for a queue feature or a search or like a, really any sort of way you'd want to store and hold any data you could do with that. So I'd like to improve my database by adding more tables. Maybe I can be more descriptive there. Tables to hold information around queues. Maybe song queues. Cool. So to query with natural language and a new cursor chat. So we'll open another one. We can check what tracks are currently liked in NextSound, and we've sort of showed off this a little bit with the debugging we did before, but we can use the MCP to actually index into the database and understand what songs did we just like, and that should directly reflect not only what we see on the web app, but what we see in the Supabase database. So it's just going through and calling those tool calls. And we can see the number of liked songs here lines up with the numbers here, as well as, if this is still loaded, what's on the web application here. Super cool, super useful. And so those are some of the tool calls that are used here that we approved. So which MCP tools did Cursor use to query our database? We can have a little look here. So the first one was list projects. We can so when I ask Cursor to tell me the most liked tracks, Cursor used Supabase to check, Supabase MCP to check but we can see what projects, so it's queried what projects we have. It's also checked tables and executed some commands to query. So check what projects and then check what values in the tables there are. The final answer it gave me was, have a little look here, was tracks with 3 likes and with 2 likes each. Mr. 6 is that. Cool. So useful, really. Like, it is actually incredibly useful to be able to index in with natural language, just talking to Cursor or anything, any other AI chat, which is linked to your MCP. Cool. So we'll open another new chat. and we will actually go and update one of the tracks. So in this one, Espresso, the song, to have 20 upvotes. So this is going to not just use the query, it's going to use the query, find the project, and then it's actually going to insert data into this and yeah, update the table where we've specified. So it's executing SQL here, which will be probably inserting, or maybe this one down here will be. Cool, we can check. I'll close this. We can see here this hasn't loaded yet, but we'll refresh this and check the database and also the web application. So we can see here we've got 20 likes on the song now. We had 0 before. And we can also refresh this, and yeah, here we go. Track ID with 20 likes. So useful. Upload a screenshot of Espresso with 20 votes. Go take a screenshot of this. So actually, I'll make that a bit more clear. How did Cursor update the vote count for Espresso? So it did it by querying the database. Aside from querying the database, I also use Cursor to change the counts in my Supabase database. I verified the update by checking the NextSound web app as well as the Supabase database. What did you think of Cursor updating? What did you think of using Cursor to update your database? Being able to update data with natural language is powerful because I don't have to understand, I'd say, how to navigate the Supabase console, for one, and then also, or SQL syntax, which is what Cursor is creating with these execute SQL commands to go and insert specific data or read a specific column, which is good. I could use this to, you could say, like all tracks, for instance, or you could remove all likes from, or remove, yeah, all likes from all tracks, for instance, if you wanted to just wipe them. Cool, so we're at the secret mission now, looking into extending this with user authentication, and we can see here, going in and creating an account is what we'll set up, so that you can do this yourself on the NextSound web app. You can like a song, and it will be tied, the like will be tied to your account. We'll be able to see that in Supabase as well as on the web app. Cool, so welcome to the exclusive secret mission. Your mission is to enhance the likes feature by adding user authentication. You'll guide Cursor to set up the Supabase auth, create user tables, and protect your data with row level security. So we can ask the ask feature here what RLS is, or row level security. In this step, I will be using Cursor to add authentication to my web app so I can log in and likes are tied to my account. So row level security is a database feature that restricts access to tables based on like auth permissions effectively. So you can go and configure this directly in with the MCP or definitely on the Supabase console dashboard to set up. So authenticated user, so someone that's signed into your web app can like something, and someone that isn't can't and has to sign up and log in. That's really the beauty of it for sure. So we're going to prompt Cursor for user authentication. So currently our likes feature is anonymous. We can make it personal by adding that element. So I'm just going to send this prompt to Cursor. And what Cursor is going to do is it's going to create new tables and set up security policies and modify the front end a little bit, just introducing components that we've already set up. That's on this branch already, so the sign up and login page, it's going to use that to allow us effectively to index and index into this new table we're creating to really link that the elements of likes with a specific person through an account. And then we're going to go and test the authentication flow once we've done that. But this will take around about a minute, I imagine, for Cursor to interact with the model context protocol with Supabase and set up the sign up and sign in process. And we'll be getting a verification email from Supabase or from our web app on behalf of Supabase to actually confirm our sign up, which is real cool. Anyone that goes and does this will have to do the same thing. So what it's doing is it's looking at the like service and it's realizing and understanding that this is set up, as we intended when we set this project up. That initially it is just an anonymous feature, but now we're asking for this to be something where you have to be logged in. So there's no longer anonymous actions on this, and it's just going through and commenting back in some of the buttons that we had set up for signing up and logging in. And then it's going to go and create some Supabase tables so that we can actually count the number of likes tied to a UUID of a user. And there's going to be the foreign key link there, which we'll speak about. So it's going in listing tables, and it's going to call commands to go and create stuff, as well as adjusting row level security RLS policies to allow authenticated users to actually go and like things, and that to be saved to the database opposed to a non-authenticated user. Cool. So it told us it's ready to use. So before we go and click troubleshooting or working, we'll restart the web app. So I'll close it, Control C, run it with npm run dev again. And we can see if there is a sign in button we can click to actually create an account. So we can see here there's a sign in button, or sign up, sorry. So we're going to create an account. So I'm going to use my NextWork email, and I'll just do the password as Kahu25. There's no this goes just purely to Supabase. You don't have access to any of your users' passwords. Doesn't need to be super highly encrypted at this point. It is very safe with Supabase. You can't read it, but this isn't going to go anywhere. So yeah. Click sign up, and it said check your email to confirm your account. So I will just go and open up my email and click confirm. So you should see something from Supabase like this, which is just telling you to confirm your sign up to your web app. You can click confirm. Cool. So I'll move this back into here. Close that. We can also close this tab if you want to. And you can now see, if we go full screen, you can see that you're actually signed in here to your own account. So this is like logged into this web application with an account you just created, which is super cool. All right, it should remain while you refresh. So let's see if we can give this a little test. Don't know if it's gonna want to play ball immediately. If this doesn't, again, that's completely fine. We can use Supabase to, the MCP to really understand what could be going incorrect here. So we can see if we're getting any response from Supabase when we try to click this. I wonder if this is a purely front-end thing or it's the same Supabase pop we were seeing before. Cool. So from my perspective, it doesn't look like it's working immediately, which is totally fine, because when we're clicking like the track, we don't see any response here. This could be a multitude of things. It could be like clearly the sign-ins worked, but there might be the RLS has not been set up correctly for what we're trying to do, which is add or increase an increment of value in a table. So that could totally be something that's not worked here. So what I'll do is I'll just explain to Cursor the situation. We can go into troubleshooting here. The app isn't loading, the sign-in button works, but button doesn't respond. So my approach immediately is to ask Cursor for help, see if it can see something with the MCP or just by itself that we can see if it's it can see if it's not working. Sorry. When I click the like button after these changes, the heart button doesn't cause any song liking. It just doesn't do anything. Yes, we can see nothing's coming through on that end. Nothing appears in Supabase database. We can give it the error there too. So it's just going to go and look at the RLS policies immediately, and it says they look correct, and then it's going to go through some other stuff and see if it can see anything which is causing this to causing this not to work. Because clearly there is an issue here which doesn't allow us to like a track on a authenticated account, which is completely normal. This is a relatively complicated procedure to set up. Clearly all of the infrastructure is in place, and we totally intend for there to be some sort of debugging along the way. So you can see it's going through here, both the code base and calling these commands with the MCP to understand if there are issues um, with the SQL thing. And it's doing some live debugging here, which is pretty cool to see. Um, Checking if there's anything that can be changed or should be changed from its perspective, which is real cool. That might have worked, I don't know. It refreshed, it was going through it. Just restart the web app after it's done this. So it's given us some next steps as well. So please test the like functionality now and share the console logs. This will help us identify exactly where the forest is coming from. It's given us some likely causes. So we can go here. Send it the logs. So what it's done is just this is quite common. It will, rather than jumping straight to fixing it, it will go and try pull information out by getting more information by adding debug logs. And then with this information, it's going to go and use the MCP as well as just editing files where it thinks it needs to, and it will go and help to certainly resolve this issue. I think I have a hunch as to why this is happening. I will intervene in a minute. I'm concerned as to these might not be correct because we configured them with a too many projects on the free Supabase account. So cool. Oh, never mind. Thought I updated the thing, but it was just a good example of it debugging. We'll see what it's come up with. Just save that in case that might be our issue there. This is definitely a great place to bring up the NextWork community. You can go there to get any sort of support. We've got a great team there that are super happy to help with anything like this. If you're stuck and don't feel comfortable debugging with Cursor, that's totally fine. So again, I'm just sending the debug logs to Cursor so I can have a look using the MCP as well as in the code base and see if it can see something that's the thing that's not happening correctly at the moment. Cool. So it's now calling the right function, so we can actually see if it's the change it's made directly helped us with the Supabase issue. I'll just sign out and sign back in again. Cool. So we can see one like there while we're logged in. Have a look, see if that came up as a track ID here. Awesome. Very good. So certainly a little bit of debugging there. I think that may have been a mistake on my end at the start when I didn't delete that project. I got a little bit confused, but we can see that certainly as a logged in user with this user profile that we set up when we logged in, if you want to, you can also head to Authentication here to see your actual account in Supabase. And we can see that the track likes table is updated as well as the user track likes table, which identifies what user, so what user ID had liked the track and the track ID. That's linked to the user profile and the authentication page in Supabase. So eventually we're able to get here. We can actually click on a track and it updates. You can see here, this has got one like now. Super cool. And like I just did, we can navigate to this link, click into our our project, and we can see in the table editor the user tracked likes having that song, that track ID there. So how do tables connect? The user track likes table uses a foreign key relationship. So the user ID links to the user profile table. So if we look at that visually in the database page, we can see a link to user or auth user ID here on these. And so this means that these two are tied together. So for all user IDs, we can directly link between the ID column in the user profiles table and that ID, so that individual's account. So if we go here, we can see a UID for the account I just created, and that'll be linked through that foreign key link, through that foreign key relationship between the table and that variable. You can also link variables to variables, but you can link between tables or to like outside to auth. Super useful. Okay, cool. So we can take a screenshot. It's a bit bugged here. We can take a screenshot of the user tracked like table. Cool. Sweet. So before we go, we can delete resources. So I'm not going to delete the Supabase project myself, but you definitely can if you want to. Another cursor opening. Yeah, and you can delete the NextSound folder if there's anything in there that you want to, or if you want to get rid of the folder, if you don't want to do this project anymore, that's completely fine as well. Yeah, so I'm going to skip these personally because we don't, I don't need to do them. Just looking at the live stream. Yeah, but I can't really stress enough how awesome this is, this project. Like, it's so incredibly useful for, yeah, to be able to go through and actually do this project with using an MCP, because beforehand you had to do this by by hand, which was a huge commitment and a huge thing to go across and actually do. Like, it's a lot of work to go and set up a database schema, and like, for instance, I had to learn it manually when I was doing this a long time ago, and it's a very long thing, and it's a super valuable skill to be able to set this up and like, yeah, get it to work. Like, I think that's such a cool thing. So yeah, I so highly recommend doing this project and following along to get the to get the full working thing. I just think it's so cool that you're able to do this now using model context protocols. And this is not the only thing you can use model context protocols for as well. There's definitely heaps of stuff. So the key tools and tools I used include, so what did we use here? We use Cursor, and we use the Supabase. The key concepts I learned included MCPs. Some other stuff. A second, I'm just checking the chat again. I learned include MCPs and using natural language to update to activate to call MCPs. The most important thing I learned was interacting with the MCPs. So how long did this project take to complete? It took approximately, time of the stream, about say 1.25, 1.25 hours. So this project took me 1.25 hours. The most challenging part was, say, setting up, pretty close to 1.5, setting up, well, I'd probably say getting the database to link with my NextSound web app. An extra comment in here, I had to use cursor to help me debug the broken auth where the light count didn't relate to what we saw in Supabase. I want to build next. Oh, it was most rewarding to understand one. Oops. It's most rewarding to see the auth working with my own account. With the skills I learned, I want to build something really cool you can build is set up like a multi-tiered auth. So if you've got like a VIP account or a lower paid account, for instance, if you wanted this to become a paid service, you could totally set that up. So a tiered payment scheme, well, a tiered auth scheme, e.g. VIP, anon, owner, where the different accounts would have different levels of access. So I did this project today to learn about how to use GitHub, to use MCPs more specifically how to set up the Supabase MCP. Set up the Supabase MCP to allow me to add a up-to-date like feature to the, it's called latest hits, I think, latest hits, to the latest hits feature or section. Another AI skill I want to learn is maybe creating your own MCP. So what this looks like is like your own MCP server, maybe. It's a better way to describe it. So for stuff like if you've got your own application that you've developed, for instance, and you want that to, have its own MCP, like developing that would be, super cool. Like that could be something that I'd love to learn, that we'll be doing in our next project. And so another skill I can write down is creating your own MCP server. So you could do that to run, to use an MCP on another currently unsupported application. So this could be like, really could be anything. It could be like, there's one for Word, but if there wasn't, you could do one for Microsoft Word to get it to write stuff for you and format tables and whatever. That could be really cool. This project met my goals because I think it makes me feel more confident with using these. That's how I look at this as. Definitely like a super tricky thing to be able to build and set up a database, right? So I think that's like a pretty cool thing. That met my goals in this case. More confident with setting up databases. And like I said, this knowledge can be totally forwarded to other MCPs for sure. Like not just the ones that are able to be that we've covered here. So just the Supabase one, but other ones for sure are great. Setting up databases and understanding how MCPs actually work. Cool. We can take the quiz now. So what is the purpose of the .in file in the NextSound project? We've got these 4 options here. So we have what's the purpose? To store sensitive information like API keys, database URLs, to store the project's source code, to define the project's build configuration, to store the user authentication credentials. Yeah, so I mean, my option is A. So our goal is to store sensitive information like API keys and database URLs. That makes sense to me. So the next question, what is the Model Context Protocol? What is Model Context Protocol and how is it used in this project? So MCP is a data encryption standard. MCP is a universal translator between AI agents and external tools, allowing Cursor to interact with Supabase. MCP is a user-friendly interface library for building web applications. MCP is a programming language used to write database queries. Yeah, it's a universal translator that sort of sits in the server. It is a server, and then you're able to call it APIs for an external app based on an LLM interacting with it. Cool, so what is the primary purpose of the likes feature in the NextSound project? We have to enable users to share their favorite tracks on social media, to allow users to mark their favorite tracks and store the like count in a database to provide a recommendation system based on popular tracks, to allow users to save tracks for offline listening. So, I mean, yeah, this is what I would mark it as. Cool. What is the purpose of tool calls when using Cursor? This is a really good question with the Supabase MCP. So option A is tool calls are specific commands that Cursor uses to interact with the Supabase database. Tool calls are requests for assistance from other developers. Tool calls are debugging messages displayed in the console. Tool calls are notifications about updates to the Cursor IDE. My option for this would be A. Yep, that makes sense. question, why is it recommended to create a new Supabase project organization, new Supabase organization for this project to enable collaborators with other developers, to improve performance, to access additional Supabase features, to isolate the project from limit impact potential issues, enhancing security and manageability. I think this is valid. So what roles do Cursor and Supabase play in building the likes feature? Cursor is a version control system, while Supabase is a testing environment. Cursor is used for UI design, while Supabase handles authentication. Cursor is used for database management, while Supabase is the code editor. Cursor is the AI-assisted code editor, and Supabase is the cloud-hosted database. That certainly seems correct to me. That's the option I will go with. Cool. So that's the project. We can totally go and share this or download your documentation from us. You share it on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, and you can check exactly what those look like. We can have a look at the documentation here. So we can see that's the 20 likes we've got there. Talk about introducing the project, setting up Cursor with MCPs, building with Cursor, understanding end files, testing the likes, querying with natural language, some of the track IDs we looked at there, what we got back, updating with Cursor, and yeah, that's that. Super cool. I will end the live stream here, but it's been great. I hope you guys have got a lot out of going through this project. I really can't stress enough how cool it is to go through and go through this and work with MCPs with you guys. Like, it's such a cool